Enchanting allows you to imbue weapons, armor, clothing, and jewelry with magical effects. This can turn an ordinary piece of equipment into a powerful artifact that boosts your combat abilities, defenses, utility, skills, or completely breaks the game in your favor. It's an absolutely key mechanic for late game dominance, especially combined with spellcrafting and alchemy, which is a subject we'll be getting into in an upcoming video, so consider subscribing if you're interested in that. Now, where can you enchant? Just like with spellcrafting, the main and most important location is in the Arcane University at the Imperial City. Here, you'll be able to go to the Kirinasium, which is where you'll find the Altar of Enchanting. Alternatively, you could find yourself going north up to Frostcrack Spire, where you'll have an Altar of Spellcrafting and an Altar of Enchanting there, as long as you can afford the Mage Tallow candles to get it started. Now, enchanting works very similar to spellcrafting. You'll go up to your Altar of Enchanting and you'll hit your action button to start the UI. Now, we're going to start with choosing an item we want to enchant. This could be weapons, armor, clothing, or jewelry. In this case, we're going to go with the weapon. We're just going to pick this Daedric Longsword for now. Our next step is to go to this middle tab where we're going to have to decide on what soul gem we want to use. Now, the stronger level of soul gem and the stronger soul that's attached to it will determine how strong your enchantments can be. You always want to try to ideally go for those black soul gems or those grand soul gems just to get those grand souls, because on armor, that'll allow you to have a constant effect on it, and with weapons, that'll give you the most enchanting ability, which I'll cover in just a second. So we're going to choose our black soul gem, and now you'll see we haven't added any effects yet. So we're going to go over to this third tab here, and we're going to add some effects here from our spell list. Now keep in mind, you need to have these spells in your repertoire to be able to use them. So if you don't have like an absorb skill spell, you're going to have to go find one and buy it to acquire it, so then that way you could use it. We're going to use absorb health here. Now you're going to see here on the bottom, we've got some differences here. So right now, this is only going to be doing 3 points of damage per hit for 1 second, and that's only going to cost us 6 out of our 85 total capacity we have for the enchanting. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bring this up because we're going to want to do more than that. But you're going to notice as I bring this up, that bottom left number is increasing. Now we cannot exceed 85 in this case. If we try to exceed 85, it's not going to let us enchant it. I don't like running it exactly perfect, so I think 83 will be good. And we're going to cover exactly why in just a second. So we're going to do 22 damage here of absorbing health, so we're going to get 22 life every time we hit, and they're going to lose 22 health. So we're going to do that. And then something I love to do, because we've got 19 charges here, that means you'll hit them 19 times before this runs out and needs to be recharged. I love to throw a 1 second soul trap on just about everything I use. Oh, we're a little bit too high now, as you can see on this gray thing. So watch, when I try to make this here, I'm going to call it Longsword of Pain. I'm going to try to make this, since the enchantment is too strong for the soul gem. Darn it. Well, in that case, what we'll do is we'll just drop this down to 21. That's going to get us to 81 out of 85 charges, which will allow us to enchant this weapon here. And now we've got our nice new sword. So let's try it out. Alright, now on our 2 favorite Bruma guards from our spellcrafting video, let's see how this does. As you can see, it's pretty effective. Now, if we had soul gems that could use it, we'd be trapping these souls in black soul gems. There we go, and it's perfect. But just some things to remember here about the enchanting and some key mechanics to keep in mind. Your weapons are always going to be cast on strike, so that's when you hit an enemy, that's when your enchantments are going to go. You're not going to find constant effect enchantments on a weapon. That's going to be your armor and your jewelry, as long as you use a grand soul at the very least. You can't use anything under that. I certainly wouldn't recommend it. I would just wait until you get a grand soul for the constant effects, because having to actually cast it is pretty annoying and is pretty dumb, and it really doesn't work with a lot of these overpowered sets. These sets I'm going to cover in just a moment are really designed for using those grand souls to maximize those constant effects and to maximize the amount of enchanting ability that you have. So do keep that in mind. Now we're getting to the fun part. Here are some devastatingly powerful enchantments and some fun ones that you can use to have fun in this game. Now keep in mind that with some of these sets, you may say to yourself, especially if you've seen my previous video on sigil stones, but a sigil stone set would be more powerful than self-enchanting. And with a lot of these cases, you're going to be correct. However, in my opinion, that doesn't actually disqualify them from still being solid choices for gear in terms of self-enchanting options, especially if you're a player who finished the main quest early and you can't get any more sigil stones. This might be your only option. Now, the last weapon we just made, that was one of those on my list. That's a nice absorb health ability there, with the ability to soul trap as well. So this makes it better than your absorb health sigil stone or your soul trap sigil stone, because you can get the best of both worlds, even though you may not be absorbing as much health as you could with the sigil stone. This next one is going to be your Chameleon clothing set. Now, if you use a Grand Soul Gem with Chameleon on armor, you're going to get yourself 20% Chameleon on self as a constant effect. So the goal here is to enchant 5 pieces of equipment with this Chameleon ability. This will give you 100% Chameleon, which will effectively make you invisible and impossible to detect unless you're pickpocketing someone. Now, something I do want to point out here is if you make this set, the game does become significantly less fun. And the reason for that is because enemies just can't see you, they can barely interact with you. Combat is just you stabbing them or just shooting them and them just kind of standing there and taking it. It does take a lot of enjoyment out of the game, so I recommend if you do want to make one of these sets, don't do it on your primary set of armor. Get like a secondary set of armor just for fun and kind of put it on that since you're really not even going to be attacked anyway. So having the strongest armor with Chameleon doesn't even matter. Now, I've skipped ahead and made all 5 pieces of the Chameleon gear, so I have 100% Chameleon on this character now, so you're going to be able to see exactly how broken this can be. As you can see, I'm attacking. He has no idea. They can't do anything. All they're doing is running away. They can't tell me to resist arrest, pay gold, or anything, because they don't even know I'm here. So this does make the game very broken. However, if you're just looking to have fun and run around, or you really want to play like an ultimate assassin, this could be a fun little build for you to do. Now this next one is a simple Fortify Magicka self-enchant. So what you want to do is just grab that Fortify Magicka on self with your Grand Soul Gem and an amulet, ring, armor, whatever have you. This will give you 25 points constant effect of fortification. Now you're going to be saying, yeah, but on the sigil stones with the transcendent level, you can get up to 50 points. And while that's definitely true, you may not have that ability anymore, or you may not be the type who wants to re-roll the sigil stones and wants to just play it by ear, where if you lose out on that ability, then at least you'll have this as a fallback option. Keep in mind, if you haven't seen my spellcrafting tutorial, definitely check that out for a spell that you can cast to give you as much magicka as you want, which does kind of nullify this if you want to go that route. But if you're a gaming purist, you may want to focus on the self-enchanting if you've already gone past the sigil stones. Up next is a pretty straightforward one. This is just a bow that does some serious shock damage on strike, as well as soul trap on strike to help recharge this item when you run out. I love doing the 1-second soul trap when I'm doing anything with damaging weapons, so you'll see this a lot here because it's very cost effective, and more often than not, you're only sacrificing maybe 1 damage point per hit. So it's not a big deal, and this will help almost guarantee that you'll always be able to recharge your item when it runs out. So we'll see how the Rusty Shocker does here right now. As you can see, we can hit him. It doesn't kill them really, because this is just a really weak bow. But as you can see, it does some serious damage, considering I can do some good damage with a Rusty Iron bow. This is a tutorial bow, and I'm still 3-shotting guards here. If I had empty black soul gems, I'd be collecting souls to recharge this with. So as you can see, you can get some serious kills with it. It's a great starting bow, but not something that's like completely game breaking. Now this next one is another bow enchantment. I like to call this one the mind control bow. So what this is going to do is this is going to command a humanoid on strike up to level 25 for 3 seconds. So essentially, this is really funny because every time you shoot your target, they become your friend. If they're near other enemies, they begin attacking their old friends to help you out as well. This is best used on a lower damage bow, for example the Rusty Iron Bow, as the goal here isn't really to kill the enemy, but rather to control the enemy. Alright, so let's see the mind control bow in action here. Now we're going to resist arrest. And the next thing you know, he's going to start attacking his friend. I hit him. And it's a funny little thing that you can use. So as you can see, they're all now going to start attacking each other. And this guard over here is attacking that guard because that guard attacked him. And now we're just kind of getting enough fun. I'm just watching the guards just shoot each other and kill each other. So it's a pretty funny bow. I don't know if it's the most overpowered bow, but it's a funny little self-enchant that can make some funny moments where we can just watch guards all fight each other here while we're just kind of hanging out. This one guard here is bothering us. Not anymore. Now we're good. This next one would be a self-enchant for shield. If you've seen my spell making video, you'll know that I already have a spell that I'll typically use that'll give me the maximum amount of shield, as well as fortifying my HP by 100, which is already really, really effective. But if you wanted a suit or a set of shield gear, I would recommend shield. It gives you 10% for each enchant. Now you'll have 9 pieces, so you'll be able to hit your cap at 85%. Now, Fire Shield, Shock Shield, and Frost Shield, they are all very effective. They'll do your regular shield as well as additional elemental resistance. But something you'll definitely want to keep in mind is that if you use one of those shields, you're only going to get 9% instead of 10%, which means that when you do put it on all 9 pieces of equipment, you'll be at 81% compared to 90%, which with the cap being 85% means you won't quite be at caps. Not that you won't still reduce your damage by insane amounts, but you still won't hit that cap. I don't know. I'm torn between the two. I think it's a personal preference of yours on as to what you would want to use. I don't think there's enough of a difference either way. Sure, one's probably slightly better than the other one, but at that point, we're just kind of arguing semantics, in my opinion. Now, this next one I like to call the Atronach Blade. So the effects here are absorbing Magicka on strike for 39 points on strike, as well as Soul Trap for 1 second. You'll get 19 uses out of this. Essentially, when you're the Atronach, you're running low on Magicka. You'll use this to just stab them. It works best with a dagger for pure mages. I'm just using a longsword here for the example. But you'll maximize your absorb Magicka with the Soul Trap, so that way you can stab them, gain your magic back, and if you kill them, you'll have enough to guarantee to recharge this weapon, and then that way you can keep on absorbing your Magicka. You don't want to run into a situation with the Atronach where you use all your Magicka, you've got no ability to Soul Trap, and your weapon's out of charge. You'll be in a real tough time trying to get your magic back, jumping into fireballs if they're lucky enough to be cast at you. So utilize this. This will be a great tool just to kind of have in your inventory for when you get into those oh crap moments and you need to absorb some Magicka real quick from an enemy. Now this next one would be a feather armor set. You would just put feather on as much stuff as you can to maximize your carry weight. This will help you get a super high carrying capacity. Keep in mind that sigil stones for feather will give you a higher bonus than 50 points. You can get up to 125 with the transcendent sigil stone. But when it comes to enchanting your gear with feather, I really want to stress this out, especially for the newer players, that there can be some bugginess that can occur when you make full feather sets, where you can find yourself losing randomly between like 400 to 700 pounds of carry weight. There's a real complicated reason why this happens. It's a bug in the code, but instead of boring you and trying to explain it, you can just search for Oblivion feather bug on Google, and that'll give you a better explanation than I could provide. I find that feather potions personally are the most ideal option when wanting an increase in carry capacity, and when we get to our video on alchemy, I'll cover exactly what I do in that regard to help maximize my carry weight without having to stress about the bugginess that can occur from the stats here. Now this next idea is essentially just putting Fortify Speed on a pretty cheap armor set that you have. Nothing that I would go too crazy with, but this will really just help you zoom across Cyrodiil faster than a horse if you have like 7 to 9 pieces of equipment that all have Fortify Speed on self with it. Like I said, this one's pretty straightforward. You just jack your speed to the max here and you make running to a dungeon a breeze. If you're tired of Oblivion gates, you can throw this on and sprint across it, jumping past gates, up the tower, and right to the sigil stone if you need to. This is pretty effective. We'll see the speed differences right now. As you can see, I only threw it on a couple pieces in the essence of time, but we're at 140 speed, which will actually break caps and have an effect. And you'll see here, we move much quicker. Alright, now here is my favorite self-enchantment weapon to do without getting into the kind of funny stuff. This is, I consider, a super overpowered weapon. So what you've got here, in this case, I'm just using a Daedric longsword, but you can use really any sword you want, as long as you're using a Grand Gem with 85 charge. You'll put 1 second of Soul Trap on strike. You're going to drain health 100 points for 1 second on strike. You will also just do 11 points of fire damage on strike. It doesn't necessarily matter here, as much as you can really fit. But here's the kickers. The weakness to fire on strike and the weakness to magic on strike. Now what this is going to do is this actually stacks as long as you put weakness to fire followed by weakness to magic. When you hit them, you're actually going to be doing multiple damages. So this can get pretty crazy. And the Soul Trap ability will help you keep this thing charged, especially once again, paired with the 0 star. So let's just see exactly how crazy this weapon can get. Alright, we've got our sword here, so let's just see how it does. And as you can see, it one-shotted him. One shot. One shot. A pretty straightforward sword. It does quite a bit of damage. And that's because of that weakness stack. And then just to show you what it's like on master difficulty with this sword, it won't one-shot them. However, it shouldn't take more than 3 or 4 shots. As you'll be able to see on the health goes right down. And then we'll go over to this next one and you'll see in a couple hits, the health is going to jump right down. Now, if you really want to get creative, here are some ways you can enchant debilitating items and put them on your enemies. This is great for stealth builds, or if you just want some good laughs. This first one I like to call a Hood of Endless Pain. Now, I want to make a note here. There's a reason why I call it a Hood of Endless Pain and not Hood of Endless Pain. And the reason for that is NPCs are going to put on the first hood or helmet in their inventory, and their inventory is listed alphabetically. By setting it to be a Hood of Endless Pain, I'm essentially guaranteeing that this is going to be the item that they equip. Now, what this does is this just damages health on self 5 points constantly. So this is just going to be really funny. What we're going to do is we're going to sneak and we're going to reverse pickpocket this hood onto an NPC, and they're just going to slowly suffer and die. And then once they die, you can just take the hood, take whatever they had, and keep on moving because you never killed them. Let's check it out, shall we? Alright, so we're going to check out this Hood of Endless Pain in action by pickpocketing Alga and doing a reverse pickpocket. So we're going to open up our inventory. Now, reverse pickpocketing only works on items with 0 weight. So don't try to put a weapon on them or try to put like some glass armor or anything like that. It's not going to work. So it needs to be a 0 weight item, such as like a hood, or some mages' robes have 0 weight as well. But we're going to throw that right on Alga. And she's not going to wear it right away. She's going to wait until she leaves or exits a zone, or if she sleeps or wakes up or anything like that. So a good strategy could be just to wait 24 hours. Now, I know she's going to go into Nova Roma this morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait until about 9 or 10 a.m. This should open up Nova Roma. And then what she'll likely do is she should be heading into the store, which we'll see her do. And we're going to follow her right in. Now, next time we should see her, she should be wearing that black hood. Let's go find her. There she is. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I was off by a little bit, but she just left the room. Let's walk outside where she'll most likely be dead laying here. And there she is, dead on the stairs. So we were off by about 1 second, but as you can see, she's dead. We'll open it up. We'll take Hanman's key, our robe. We're not getting anything because she killed herself. We didn't do it. We're not looting a body. And that's how that hood works. It's really, really funny to do and great for some assassinations. So this one follows the same paradigm, except you'll actually use this more on casters, such as if you wanted to take down a powerful mage or something like that. You could say shut up mage. Now this won't necessarily work too well, but I wanted to show you the other trick where if you don't want to use an A, you can just use like a dash. That should put it first in the inventory, which means a mage will equip this over something else, giving themselves silence, which means they're going to have to rely on their fists, their martial weapons, essentially things they are not very good at. So this is something that's really funny. I don't know if it's entirely practical and useful to use like in an actual combat situation, but if you're just kind of playing Oblivion to have fun, this is one of those zany enchantments that you can kind of do and put on an NPC to have a good time with. Some last minute tips for Master Enchanting. You'll always want to prioritize using Grand Souls or Black Souls for armor enchantments. Anything lower will only give you cast on use, which is really annoying. You can prioritize effects based on your build. Melee typically will go for strength and shields. Mage will go for Magicka and either Spell Absorb or some sort of elemental shield. And Stealth a lot of times will go for Chameleon or Fortify Speed. However, these are just recommendations. In Oblivion, there are a million choices, dare I say endless choices, of playstyle. So find the enchantments and the effects that you like the best or that fit your build the best. There is no real metaing in a single player game. Now, you'll want to stack effects across gear. Don't forget that multiple pieces of armor or jewelry and things like that can carry similar effects, so you can stack absurd bonuses, especially with that chameleon one we looked at earlier. You'll always want to carry soul gems with you. This will help you refill your enchanted weapons, and if you followed my strategy of sticking soul trap on as many things as possible, you'll always have a filled soul gem you can use, which is insanely helpful, especially for those Atronach builds. And lastly, a 0-star is life. This is an infinite refillable soul gem, so I would prioritize looking at getting this one as soon as possible to save yourself a whole lot of struggle. Master Enchanting, and you'll never fear anything in Cyrodiil again. Thanks for watching, everyone. If the video helped you at all, please consider subscribing. Also, you don't want to miss out on my 1,000 subscriber game giveaway. The link for that's in the description. May Akatosh guide your way.